Many people say, oh, high performance, oof, I'm scared of that word. That's only reserved for athletes. It's absolutely not. High performance is contextual to everyone.
Dan Lawrence,
the man who trains Premier League players,
boxing champions and millionaire CEOs.
We see so many parallels between athletes, performance and business. It doesn't need to be an either or. You become 1% better every day. It's a 37 times improvement over the course of a calendar year. That is a complete life shift. 12 years ago, I had spinal surgery in Harley Street. Clients come to me, they have lower back problems, we know exactly what to do. You just got to start where you stand, apply yourself each and every day.
If you can merge your passion and your profession, you'll truly be fulfilled and successful.
Welcome to the Bricks to Riches podcast. Today, I have a very important guest, a high performance coach called Dan Lawrence. He trains elite athletes, boxers like Conor Benn, he trains elite footballers, and he trains CEOs of companies like Joe the Juice. Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Nabil.
Dan, so tell me your journey, incredible shape. What made you go into this fitness journey of becoming a coach for all these elite stars that you train?
It goes back nearly 20 years now, Nabil, and I think it started with someone who just liked training, an introvert, and then just refined the skill of speaking, building relationships. Right. And then now it's gone down the high performance route for the past decade and a half with athletes and now some global CEOs. So it came from a passion of training and now it's just evolved.
But I've seen you a lot on social media training Conor Benn. Tell me how that boxer, do you give him more power, strength? Talk it through.
It depends on what the athlete wants and how they want to perform on the night. But generally speaking, yes, we want to improve strength, power, speed, endurance. The great thing about boxing, Nabil, is you don't have 10 other teammates if you have a bad day at the office. You are quite literally on your ass. So every detail matters and these margins are important. So it's not just an endurance-based sport. Okay, I'm going to improve endurance. We've got to improve all these qualities. So it doesn't then mean you've got to chase the qualities at the same time. We've got to drive physiological change with clearly curated training programs that are enabled to us to reach that goal. So Conor is such a high-octane athlete. You know, I love working with him as I'm quite an intense all-in individual, and he won't mind me saying it, as is he. So we work really well together. I think Conor's biggest strength is the fact that he's relentless. He's completely dialed in. And this is actually where I come in. If we're just aimlessly lifting weights without no understanding around what we're doing, that's problematic. Everything was tailored towards him becoming a more explosive athlete because he is an explosive fighter.
Training. And I understand that you're training him for his next fight, whenever that is.
Yeah, so we were thrown a bit of a curveball about a week ago, because we were due to go back into camp 2 days before. Everyone was ready to go and immerse ourselves again. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, the fight didn't go ahead at that time. But it's now looking like it's going to go ahead in November, fingers crossed. And we just got to come bigger and better this time and make sure he gets his arm raised.
It was a close fight last time.
It was, it was. I think, look, we can be proud of Conor's efforts, but fundamentally we're winners. And he didn't get his arm raised. So we've then got to, as a team, reflect, review and plan for how we can get better and ensure that he reaches the goal that we all want to reach.
Exactly. So will you do anything different this time in his training, or stick to the same plan for your strength? Because you're a strength conditioning coach, aren't you, fundamentally?
Exactly that. Fundamentally strength and conditioning, head of performance with Conor. So we look at all things training, nutrition, recovery, mindset, and any marginal gain that we can have. And great question. We're always reflective as a team. And that was a great camp. You know, it really was a great camp, and I will openly say that.
Was that camp abroad?
We were in Mallorca for the majority of it. Came back for some press bits, but it was great because we locked ourselves away. Warmer climates, which always helped, and we just had a really good system and routine over there. So what could we do better? There's going to be a couple of tweaks, but not huge wholesale changes. The team worked really well together, and this is important. Though it's an individual sport, you've got to have a great team and support network to help you focus on what you want to focus on, which is boxing. So we had chefs, myself, Tony Sims, the head boxing coach, Pedro. Everyone worked really well together to support Conor. So there are a few things that we'll tweak, absolutely, from a recovery point of view. But not a lot's going to change. We just got to be bigger and better this time around.
Good. Well, I wish you all the best for that fight.
Thank you.
You touched on a point there, Dan. Recovery. When people train so hard, let's say 2-3 hours a day, recovery is key. What's the best way to recover after a hard workout?
Great question. And some people say, Bill, you can only train as hard as to what you can recover from. People are like foot on the gas. My 18-year-old self was no real understanding around recovery, right? It's just train. I'll train hard, I'll recover, I'll adapt. And there's really the three things: stressor, recovery, adaptation, right? Stressor is the training stress. When you go and play paddle, that's a stress. When you go and throw weights around in the gym, that's a stress. Recovery is the middle piece, because unless you recover optimally, you don't adapt, you don't improve. So the number one recovery tool that costs absolutely nothing is sleep. It's not flash, it's not sexy, but it is the best recovery tool. And I liken this to like a cherry on top of a cake, right? Probably shouldn't say that as a high performance coach, but maybe salt on top of the steak is the better one. Is that unless you've got your steak there, why are you putting salt on it? And what I mean by that is we can have all the recovery tools like Whoop, infrared saunas, ice baths, and everything we see from a biohacking point of view. If your sleep's poor, what are you doing? Like, you know, you're not really optimized. So sleep number one, and all these other small things can really help.
So sleep's the most important. How many hours of sleep would you say, Dan?
Yeah, again, great question. Like everyone is individualized, and what we do, we don't just say, right, Nabil, go and sleep more. And you're like, oh, cheers, I kind of knew that. We create the optimal sleep environment for our clients and athletes. So we're looking at room temperature, we're looking at pillows, we're looking at bed sheets, whether it's an 8-sleep mattress. We're looking at, are you exposed to blue light exposure before bed? Do you wear blue light glasses? All of these things play a role. When was your last meal? So look, 7 hours sleep for me, I'm good. If I have multiple nights of 6 hours sleep, a little bit grouchy. So I think 7 hours for me is fine. If I said that to someone else and they've got young children, they'd be like, that's a luxury. I can function off 5 hours. So everyone is different, but using things like Whoop or Aura Rings and looking at the data, you can start seeing and assessing objectively what you really need from a sleep point of view.
Nice. And then doing like things like cryotherapy, massage, sauna, like you said, that's marginal. Those are marginal gains.
I do believe in it though. I really do believe in it. I think if you're training hard and you're lifting weights, you're creating some tissue change, right? And if you're not getting some soft tissue work, that could be problematic. Equally, cryotherapy, you know, I'd say I'm pro cryotherapy, but there's also, people see this in the media, they're like, right, cryotherapy, the new big thing, or ice baths are the next best thing. And an ice bath after a strength training session actually blunts the physiological response of what you're trying to achieve. So it can be detrimental to what you're trying to do. But an ice bath after a long run could help the recovery process. You've just got to be tactile. It's not, I'm going to do it now every day because I've read this article. It's having a look at your overall training week and fitting it in accordingly to optimize recovery.
If someone's doing Dan strength conditioning, after how many hours should they go for a cryo ice bath? Is it 3 hours or more?
Yeah, it depends. And what I'd probably say is, like, if you are an advocate for ice baths, doing it first thing in the morning. Myself and John Ryder, we were in a training camp for the Canelo fight actually a couple of years ago in LA. Every morning we'd do an ice bath. And I'll be honest with you, at the time, I didn't really understand ice baths and the physiological change. So you've got two things, physiology and psychology. I did it every morning. I came away, I felt bulletproof. I felt ready to attack the day. What's the saying? Is it eat the frog? Do the hard stuff in the morning. And I was ready to do anything. So psychologically, it was brilliant. And also at that point, I hadn't trained. So from a physiological point of view, it could be advantageous.
It wakes you up, people exchange their coffee for ice bath.
Exactly. And it really does, you know, it gets the adrenals going, it gets you ready for the day. So I'm definitely pro that. In terms of lifting weights and then doing an ice bath and the duration in between, I personally wouldn't do it after lifting weights. I think you've gone in the gym, you've worked really hard, busted your balls, and do you then want to go and do that? Probably not. Saunas, however, there's great research with Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She's an advocate for sauna use. 3 times a week is optimal. And if you can do that for, the research says 19 minutes is optimal at a certain temperature that I can't recall now.
In one sitting?
So
you can't take a break like some people do, the sauna for 10 minutes, go out, have a shower, then come back?
You can do hot and cold immersion. Absolutely. Hot-cold contrast therapy. But her research is, is 19 minutes. I can't recall the exact, I think it's like 84 degrees. 3 to 4 times a week is optimal, and that actually is linked with longevity and lifespan. It's incredible.
Interesting. And considering, like you said, you train for Premier League footballers, you train boxers, you could train CEOs of companies. So every single client of yours has a different requirement. So, for example, I like cricket and paddle. If I said coach me, then obviously for me, you'd have to use different muscle groups. For a footballer, you'd use something else. For a boxer, hip and thrust, shoulder. So do you design each workout individually per client?
Everything's bespoke to the individual. So I'll use you, Nabil, as an example, right? You like your weight training, aesthetics play a role, but you also want to be optimized with performance and cognitive. You're crunching meetings and big deals. You play paddle and cricket, 2 rotational sports. So if I get you in the gym just doing sagittal plane work, bicep curls and bench press, probably not optimal. We build general qualities, but we also want to add an element of specificity. So we'd probably add a bit of rotational work. We'd probably add a bit of midline core work. And we'd also get you nice and mobile through the thoracic spine. Now that's key because if you think if you're rotating and you're not able to apply force,
Yes.
that's a problem. You've got to get in those
You have to
positions.
be fast and explosive, like Conor Ben.
There you go, fast and explosive,
Yeah.
and the ability to move in 360 degrees. So yeah, I'd be adding a lot of mobility work in, a lot of glute work, a lot of core work, and a lot of work to protect the shoulder. So stabilization of the shoulder is going to be important for those two sports.
Agility is very important.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone was telling me you're obviously more learned. There's 3 aspects to training. 1/3 is strength conditioning, 1/3 is agility, mobility, and 1/3 is cardiovascular. Is that a fair balance, do you think, Dan, or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, a lot of these answers will be it depends. Context is key. It depends on the individual. But I think that's a broad overview, yes, because we need strength work. If you're an aging male, sarcopenia, muscle wastage is a thing. Hormonal response we get from strength training is important. Injury prevention from strength training, and also looking good in a pair of swim shorts, which we all want, myself included. Cardiovascular wise, very key. Absolutely. VO2 max, we do that test. It's the gold standard test of the cardiorespiratory system. There's a direct correlation between VO2 max, cardio fitness, and longevity. So that's a key component to everything, which helps your strength work anyway. Because if you can't recover, that's a problem. And mobility, again, we spend so long sitting down these days. So unless you're addressing issues through the hips, through the thoracic spine, the mid to upper back area, you're going to be walking around like a robot. And then if you want to play these rotational based sports, that's a problem because you increase injury risk. So I think having facets of each of those 3 components is key.
And for me and lots of my colleagues, friends who I play sports with, the hardest part we find is making time for stretching. Weight training easy, running, cardiovascular easy. People hate stretching. Why is that? Women love going to yoga, etc. Why do men don't particularly like it?
I agree. I think it is a male thing. And look, we're very, I suppose, type A, a million miles an hour, generally speaking. You want to get in, get it done, and get out. We also like the benefit of lifting weights because we get this kind of cellular swelling, the pump, metabolic stress, if you like to call it that. And it's normally the first thing off the list. I'm not going to do the stretching. Something we do with our programming, because we're very aware of that, we primarily work with high-performing men, is we add mobility work through our strength work. And what that might look like would be like a single arm row with a rotation. So we're actually mobilizing the spine as well as getting some strength work in. So we can subtly, it's like with a kid, right? You hide the broccoli, you put it under something, but they still eat it. Similar concept. I don't know why it's like that for men, but I fully understand it. So what we do, we do get a non-negotiable of 6 minutes a day, pre-training for them to do their mobility work, and then they're ready to go. And we just educate them, because that's what it is. Okay, I don't do it, but I don't know why I don't do it because I don't know why I should do it. Education underpins everything. When they know the why, they can then apply.
So then do you do the mobility warm-up in the before the workout?
Yeah.
And then at the end you do static stretching?
We do a little bit of static, but that's probably, tends to be off the menu. We do a lot of isometric in the session as well, where you hold positions, think like split squats and things to open up the hips. But at the start, we follow a ramp protocol. Raise the heart rate, activate specific muscles, mobilize around key joints, and prime the neuromuscular system. 6 minutes, get in, get moving, and then get on with your session.
Nice. And when we spoke over the phone in Dubai, you said to me, you're going to get me in and do bloods and everything. So you go to a lot of detail because lots of trainers go on like these 8-week courses and they think they know it all and they train you like you're a 20-year-old, but every body type is different. So you do bloods and everything. You take the blood samples. What does that give you? What information does it give you?
Yeah, well, we do bloods as one part of our performance testing battery. I'll go through it all now. And we say, Nabil, like in business, what gets measured gets managed. Whether you're a younger practitioner, and I champion anyone who's on a journey for education and wants to be there to help people, but there is certainly a difference in someone using data to inform their decisions and someone who doesn't. So blood work is one thing that we do. We have quite a team of doctors who analyse that data to see what's really going on in the bonnet, because many men would want to improve the key hormone testosterone. So we've got to see, okay, where are your markers at? Are they in good ranges or are they not? And then we can look at how stress is linked to those and cortisol and other areas. So we look under the bonnet with comprehensive blood work. We have a team of doctors who analyse that.
If someone's low on testosterone, then do you give them a TRT top-up? Because there are lots of people in the US, it's very common. Anybody above 40, they have a TRT tablet or injection. In the UK, it's not as common.
Yeah, Dubai, it's common as well. So becoming more well-versed on the Dubai landscape, if I'm honest, because you're right, UK-wise, it's very much frowned upon. But if you're very low, then we would get a doctor to advise upon that for sure. It's not something that we advise straight away. There's other methods to increase your testosterone naturally. We can look at external stresses, sleep environment. You can even look at some of the kind of Tonka Alley and things that may increase your testosterone markers. A lot of it is from stress. I had my bloods done a couple of times. I was going through a complete transition moving to Dubai. So zoom out effect was I was probably quite stressed in that moment.
Yeah.
And my testosterone was low. I then did it again where I was in a good place, completely different markers. So it probably links into, something that we'll probably talk about is training stress as well, and not every day being created equal. So like blood work, you've got to get it done when you're in a kind of level playing field and not when you're traveling across different time zones and chronically stressed in that moment.
And then also dealing with testosterone, the benefits for the audience, obviously it helps you recover, gives you more power and energy, and helps your sex drive. But what are the other benefits?
Yeah, exactly that. Libido is a big one. Outputs on a daily basis. If you're low on testosterone, you're likely having to pull yourself up out of bed in the morning. So it's that impetus and desire to get on with your day. Lean tissue. We're all looking to build muscle in some capacity, whether you want to get huge or whether you want to just build some lean tissue that then helps you reduce body fat because it improves RMR, resting metabolic rate, how many calories you burn at rest. More muscle, you're more of a fat burning furnace. So by having higher levels of testosterone, your ability to build muscle and lean tissue is better. So they're really the big ones is energy, mood, ability to build lean tissue, and outputs throughout the course of the day.
Nice. And also naturally you can do it, like when I've done PTs around the world, a lot of my PTs make me do squats. They said when you start your training with squats, it gives natural build-up of testosterone.
Yeah, there's a hormonal response to big compound lifts. They have higher neural demands and they spike growth hormone, testosterone, exactly that. But you've got to be smart with it. If you're you've got to look at, so if you say with a PT, you've got 60 minutes with a PT a couple of times a week. What about all the other hours? Like what are your daily environments like? What are your daily habits like? And if someone sleeps for 4 hours, there's another one that's going to impact your testosterone. Sleeps for 4 hours, has suboptimal nutrition, but yet they see a PT 3 times a week. I think they're probably missing the point. They need to start looking at champion you for going to do the PT. Great. You've got to start looking at the bigger picture because everything is a domino that feeds into the next.
Yeah, I get it. So, and also, earlier you touched on what you do before sleep. There's a rule 3-2-1 rule. 3 hours before sleep, no food. 2 hours before sleep, no drinks. And 1 hour before, no phone. Do you believe in the 3-2-1 rule?
Yeah, I love it. I really do. Is looking at the first element, the food. Okay, so what happens for most people? Okay, and I'll talk general here. There are a few outliers, but if you eat 30 minutes before bed, your body's then having to process and break that food down. So if you're looking at the autonomic nervous system that governs everything, 2 subdivisions: parasympathetic, rest and digest, or sympathetic, fight or flight. We want to start shifting into that parasympathetic division pre-bed to aid a restful night's sleep. So if you're eating 30 minutes before bed, that's not going to be optimal. You need to allow things to shut down. So yes, I agree with that for sure. The second one was
3-2. The 2 rule is 2 hours before bed, no water, whatever you drink.
That
you don't
one,
want to get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. This one's interesting because with boxers, when they're making weight, we actually increase their levels of water. So then we start manipulating water as a variable that helps them, make weight. So we have some good conversations around that. If they're probably having 5-6 liters of water a day, so we front load their day. So I agree. So we try and get as much in before midday, then as much in before 3 o'clock, and then we start reducing the amount of water, because you're right, is look, if we know the number one recovery tool is sleep, yet you're drinking way too late, what's going to be compromised? Sleep. So, and the phones, the phones are the big one for us. There's so much research.
That's addictive.
Exactly that. So much research on this with the blue light exposure negatively impacting melatonin production, which is the sleep hormone. So you've seen these days, on my phone, I have a blue light screen. I even have the Whoop blue light blocking glasses. And look, it's hard, right? Your phone's going off every 2 seconds, as is mine. It's really hard to do that, but you just got to improve sleep hygiene by trying to make these non-negotiable decisions of putting the phone away. And I have my phone in my room, I'll be honest with you, which may not be optimal, but I put Audible on a sleep timer for 20 minutes. I'm actually learning something, phone's away, and I fall asleep after 10 minutes, and it works really well for me.
Nice. So we should deploy that rule. Everyone should deploy that rule, 3-2-1 rule.
Yeah, the 3-2-1 works really well. And just creating the optimal sleep environment for you is, I think, very, very important. Sleep is key. And people are just in this dopamine hit of their phone from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. In my opinion, they're playing to someone else's tune. They're a puppet. So in the morning, if I can maybe give you an insight into my routine in Dubai, I wake up in the morning, I simply turn my alarm off on my phone. I should probably get an external alarm from my phone if I wanted to improve, which I'm trying to myself. And then I don't look at my phone. My team don't switch on until a certain time. I go out onto the balcony. I do sound a bit woo-woo, a little bit of grounding, some astro there, and I look out into the sun. I naturally wake up, so it's a natural sleep-wake cycle. I have 30 minutes, I have water, I have my electrolytes. I'll then log on to the team for 30 minutes just to clear the inbox, get the team working on their tasks.
So to stop you there, you have the electrolytes as soon as you wake up, or 30 minutes after you've done the grounding?
Within the 30 minutes,
Right,
I'll have the water and electrolytes, but no caffeine at that point, and that's strategic.
Yes.
And then I'll do 30 minutes of focus work with my team. They're then left to delegate the task to. And then I have my hour of power. My hour of power is my training, and the team know. I say to my head of operations, we've got a team of 15. He's like, no one can message me in this 60 minutes, which might sound a bit excessive to any listeners, but it's that important to me.
And then, Harry, can you shut that door as well, because we don't want any noise coming through?
Just ask what time that starts at when you wake up.
What?
Your routine that you went over.
Okay.
What time
I'll
does
say
it
it.
actually start from?
You happy so far?
Yeah, I'll start that. So Dan, you go through your normal routine when you wake up in the morning. You basically, you said you go outside, do grounding, have electrolytes. What happens after that?
Yeah, so it starts, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not part of the 5 a.m. club like Robin Sharma says in his book. I actually get up around 7:30, but I get up, I have no phone. For 30 minutes, I go out onto my balcony, I do a bit of grounding and open up my eyes naturally to sunlight. I'll then have water, I have electrolytes, no caffeine strategically at that time, and then I'll do 30 minutes of focus work. I'll dial into my team, delegate a load of tasks, they can then get on with it. And then I have my hour of power. So I say to my head of operations, Jamie, he's a savage, like best staff hire I've had. And I say 60 minutes, tell the team, I don't want any messages. Because my problem is I'll take my phone into the gym just to have my music going, get in the zone. And if my phone's popping off, I struggle. It pulls my attention away.
You can't get focused.
I lose my focus, you know. So yeah, it's working really well for us. So I have my hour of power, as I like to call it. Training is important to me. You know, if I nail my training, I'm ready to attack the day. If I have a suboptimal session, that stays on my mind. So yeah, I'll do my hour of power, and then I'll finish that. I have my fully loaded smoothie, creatine, collagen, protein, whey protein isolate, and some blueberries. And yeah, I'm ready to attack my day.
Nice. That's what Donna White does as well. Donna White, he says he does not do anything in the morning until he's done 2 hours of training.
Yeah.
His ice bath, his training, then he'll start his day. His health comes first.
Something we say is win the morning, win the day. And if you can win that and you can control that, anyone can control that. If you can take care of that, whether it's 60 minutes, whether it's 2 hours like Dana White that many won't have the luxury to do, whatever else you're thrown at throughout that day, you know you started with a win. And what I would say from the executives that we do work with, they're very busy, they're chronically stressed, they travel across different time zones. If they schedule their workout in at 6 p.m., the likelihood of that happening with each hour that goes by, it gets lower and lower and lower because life happens. They're putting out fires, as we know when we run multiple businesses. Get it done in the morning when that phone is not popping off every 2 seconds. And at least you've won the morning.
And you've got out of the way.
Got it out of the way.
Exactly. Now, also, in relation to yourself, you do the CEO of Joe the Juice. That's my favourite place. I love going to Joe the Juice, getting that matcha smoothie, and I like the avocado sandwich. So that's an interesting client. And how did you come across him?
Yeah, so...
Because you're based in England and Dubai.
Yeah, well, Casper Casper Bass, founder of Joe and the Juice, great guy, a bit of a mentor for me as well. Built an incredible business. And 2017, I think I first met Casper. He was in the UK. He loved his boxing. I think his background was judo. Casper really embodies everything that modern CEOs now embody. And that is being an athlete, high performance, but also leading a global organization like Joe and the Juice that's just gone vertical. And now lots of people over the last couple of years are really embodying those traits. He's had that for a long time, but he came to me loving boxing, but not being able to box. He had a shoulder impingement issue, and I managed to get his shoulder right, improve stability, reduce pain, and get him back boxing within a short period of time. So, you know, he certainly liked that. And we've been on this incredible journey together. And, you know, I haven't seen him that much of late, but he's completely optimized his health. He looks great, and someone who really embodies high performance.
You can see that performance that he's applied to his health. You can see he's applied to his business, because his Joe the Juice has gone global everywhere.
We see so many parallels between athletes, performance, and business. It doesn't need to be an either or. And many people say, oh, high performance, oof, I'm scared of that word. That's only reserved for athletes who cross the white line at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, a footballer or a boxer in the first bell in front of 60,000 people, Conor Benn. It's absolutely not. High performance is contextual to everyone. And you just got to start where you stand, apply yourself each and every day. And if you become 1% better every day, it's a 37% improvement over the course of a calendar year. That is a complete life shift in 12 months with taking care of simple wins on a daily basis.
Right, interesting. Now, also, you are very learned, very knowledgeable. You train different types of people, CEOs, athletes, but the people like myself and these CEOs can afford you. What about the average Joe? How will he he can't afford your services?
He can.
How?
But we work with a number of top-level executives that work with me personally in a one-on-one capacity. But we do have a program called Built by Perform 365. Perform 365 is my brand. Like I say, we've got a team of 15. We've got every coach works in professional sport. That's really our USP. So that when someone comes to us, whether they're a weekend warrior doing their first Ironman 70.3, doing their first half marathon, or throwing up some good numbers at a High Rocks event, that's what we can take care of. My team take care of all of that. We have nutritionists. We have our head coach works at Charlton Athletic Football Club. Our nutritionist, the head of nutrition with England Rugby. Like, we've got an Avengers of high performance for that is accessible to anyone. So yeah, I work with a select number of individuals personally around.
That's on a one-to-one basis. But then the other one for the masses, they can go to
online, anywhere in the world. So we've got clients all over the world, which blows my mind.
Is that digital?
It's all online. Videos of all the exercises, accountability every single week, a community of like-minded individuals. We do kind of every quarter. We do events as well in the UK and Dubai, because community is such a big part of global businesses, especially Dubai. Exactly. So that's accessible to anyone. But
good to hear.
Yeah.
And also at the moment, Dan, what's in vogue? Intermittent fasting. I go to a clinic in Austria called My Life every 6 months, and I go for a week, and there they teach you about fasting, and they say have breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper, live off broth. So what's your view as an expert of intermittent fasting?
I'm a fan of it for me personally. So intermittent fasting for the listeners, like a 16-day protocol, a restricted fasting window, also known as restricted eating. If your goal is to reduce body fat, the number one driver there is to be in a caloric deficit. So that's eating less than your baseline. First, you've got to know your baseline, which is why we do these comprehensive tests like resting metabolic rate. How many calories do you burn at rest? And then as long as you're within, say, a 500 calorie deficit, over time, you will lose body fat. And it shouldn't eat into your lean tissue. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They'll go way too aggressive, way too low, and it will start eating into their tissue, and your body goes into this kind of atrophy where it just wastes away. So getting that right is important. Intermittent fasting is a vehicle to enable them to be in that caloric deficit. So I like it because it adds structure. I'm sure we're probably wired the same way in terms of structure is really key for us. I can't wake up and be like, oh, what am I doing today? I've got to know exactly what I'm doing. Every meeting, when I'm training, everything's lined up. So intermittent fasting gives you a structure to your eating habits. I quite like not eating in the morning. I mentioned my day earlier that I can fast. I have my ergogenic 8 pre-workout, quick hit of caffeine, go in and dominate my workout, and then I'll probably have that smoothie around midday. So if I'm waking up at 7:30, having my last meal at maybe 8 p.m. the evening before, you could probably do the maths on that and say, well, actually, that fits into the intermittent fasting protocol.
Exactly,
so,
about 18 hours.
I quite like it, but it's not right for everyone. And if you're looking to build lean tissue, it could be detrimental. But also, even if you're looking to reduce body fat, you've got to ensure that your protein levels are high throughout the course of the day. So the World Health Organization's recommended allowance of protein in the bill is 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight. So for a 100 kilo male, that's only 80 grams of protein a day, which we both know is ludicrously low. Our nutritionist, Dr. James Morhan, PhD, head of performance nutrition with England Rugby, recommends anywhere between 2.2 to 2.4 grams per kilo of body weight. So for context, 100 kilo male, it's 220 grams of protein. And you're probably thinking, well, why is protein important, Dan? Well, protein aids muscle protein synthesis, the regeneration of tissue. So when you're ripping it up in the gym, doing your bicep curls, we're creating these micro tears in the tissue. It will help fuel that and help it recover, repair, and most importantly, grow. But also for a fat loss goal, going back to the intermittent fasting question, it helps improve satiety, the feeling of fullness for longer. So that's why protein is key, super key.
Right, so protein, take it through meats, fish,
ideally
protein shakes. What yogurt?
We adopt a food first approach, ideally. So chicken breast, steaks, obviously great. Yogurts, Greek yogurt, you said it there, great. We put some protein into that as well, mix it all up. You've got a 40 gram hit of protein. So look, we do supplement with additional whey protein isolate as well if we are looking to hit those numbers. And remember, we just said 100 kilo male. A lot of people aren't 100 kilos, they might be 70. So we're not saying have 220 grams, but do the equation on yourself and try and get relatively close to that. And start having a look at, okay, if I have 3 meals a day, I have 40 grams per meal, there's 120. Maybe if I have a yogurt and a protein shake, all right, I hit 150 grams, I'm okay with that.
So Dan, both you and I are British. Obviously, I was born here, went to school here, and a lot of my friends, I play cricket, paddle. Everyone likes to have a beer after the cricket game, after the paddle game. It's a huge culture in England to drink alcohol. If it was invented today, it would probably be banned. It's a poison. How do you educate your clients not to drink? In Dubai, it's probably not as much as rife as England. How do you stop your clients from drinking, and how do you educate them?
The word you use there is stop. And we wouldn't dive in with saying stop drinking if someone does have alcohol in their day-to-day. We try and reduce initially, and then over time try and remove completely if that's their goals and if it's really impacting the results. We mentioned Casper Bass earlier, so we actually did some really cool tests on him. He was using, I don't think it was the Whoop, it was the Aura at the time, the ring, which does the same sort of thing. And Casper loves dominating in the gym, crushing his training, hitting some PBs on the back squat. But he also likes a very expensive red wine. So I think the first time he did it, so let's just paint the picture here. Tuesday evening, goes out, 2 glasses of red, wakes up the next day, his data is actually really good. Goes into the gym, crushes it, hits a PB on the squat, everything's perfect. The next week does exactly the same thing, same night, all variables are the same. The only change is those 2 glasses become 2 bottles. Wakes up the next day, HRV's fallen off the cliff, heart rate variability, readiness to train, fallen off the cliff, feels this cognitive fog, doesn't feel great, but follows the program. And then what happens? He doesn't hit the numbers he wants, he heightens injury risk, and this is why we use data to drive the decisions. So, I spoke about that hypothetically there, but that's where knowing your numbers can be really important, because alcohol can really impact your outputs. We know it from a cognitive point of view, but also from a performance point of view across the board. So I think to your point of how do we reduce, I'd say, instead of stop, is look at the data. Someone can then self-regulate by looking at the data and seeing themselves, oh, wow, if I go and have 2 bottles instead of 2 glasses, my data is telling me I'm way off. But also I know that. I feel those subjectively, those markers are way off. So then over time, you can educate them whilst they look at the data and be like, look, we've got to make better informed decisions. Then we can create systems of saying, right, you're drinking 4 times a week. We both know that that's excessive. We both know that your goals are to reduce body fat, be sub 10% body fat, and run your first half marathon. Do you feel like that's aligned or misaligned? And it's not me dictating. It's us together collaboratively getting to where we need to go. So I'll, tee them up to get to where we need to go, but I need them to find the answer themselves. But we use data because otherwise it's a dictatorship. We saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. They then got to find that outcome. And then I build a system that helps them with that outcome. So then it might go from 4 times a week to just once a week. And then it might be before a recovery day. So then they can recover and then they can go again.
Well, then it slowly goes to once a month, hopefully stopping.
There you go, because they feel the benefits from it.
So as a high performance coach, what message would you like to give as this podcast comes around to all the audience? What tips would you give them to summarize?
Start where you stand. And what I mean by that, we've spoken about high performing athletes today, but please don't get overwhelmed by that. Identify where your feet are now, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago when you were playing football at a high level or whatever you were doing. And appreciate where you are now, but don't just rest on your laurels and have this go forward mindset. So starting with some daily non-negotiables, 3 to 5 things you can do every single day, like drinking 3 liters of water, maybe taking an electrolyte tablet, maybe sleeping for 7 hours, maybe having protein with every meal, or doing 10,000 steps. Do that for a consistent, sustained period of time, over 6 months, 12 months, you'll see huge changes. So control the controllables, carry out daily non-negotiables, don't compare yourself with others, be inspired by others, but don't compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. And start small. We see in January, for example, New Year's resolutions, new year, new me. And though I can champion the attitude of wanting to get better, so many people go wrong. And I liken this to, imagine in the boardroom, you've got an intern. So you're an intern, and then you go to a CEO. We know that doesn't happen. You've got so many different levels that you've got to go through. And they'll go from 0 to hero way too quickly. No training whatsoever, overindulging over the festive period. And now I'm going to go and train 5 days a week. So you get an acute spike, they break down, and unfortunately come the end of Feb, they're no longer doing what they're doing. They yo-yo.
If you look at Tyson Fury, Ricky Hatton, they've gone slim, fat, slim, fat. that you should be consistent, like
Exactly.
Connor Ben, like
Exactly.
your boy Connor.
Live and breathe. So look, takeaways would be consistent, create an
Yeah.
environment that removes friction and sets you up for success. Environment dictates outcomes. Start with 3 to 5 daily non-negotiables, things you can do every single day without fail, and just show up. Show up, stack a win the morning, win the day, and do it for not just a week, not just a month, but a year, and see where you're at.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time, Dan.
Brilliant.
Really
I
appreciate
appreciate it.
making time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you.